Welcome, everyone. My name is Ahmed, and I am delighted today to be in conversation with Palestinian award-winning filmmaker and playwright Ala'a Al Qaisi. Today, we are going to be talking about the role of soft power as a form of resistance in amplifying the Palestinian narrative. But before we start, I'd like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the lands from which we are dialing in today and pay my respects to their elders, past, present, and emerging. This land was never ceded, always was and always will be Aboriginal land, acknowledging that this land is a ground zero of a genocide that occurred more than 230 years ago, and its echoes still reverberate to our day. I am dialing in from Camaragal country. The Palestinian struggle for justice and freedom has been persisting for over a century now in the face of the Zionist settler colonial system of occupation and apartheid. The journey of the fight against this system of oppression and racial domination has evolved in time to encompass many forms of resistance, including art and culture, or what is referred to soft power. From literature, poetry, music, filmmaking, and theater, soft power played a significant role in amplifying the Palestinian narrative by spotlighting stories and traditions from Palestine. Today, I am honored to be in conversation with a prominent award-winning Palestinian filmmaker and playwright, Ala'a Al Qaisi. Ala'a is an award-winning Australian-Palestinian filmmaker known for her powerful storytelling. Her acclaimed short films, including Pink Swing and Cinderella, have received international recognitions, winning awards at festivals such as the Cannes World Film Festival and Flickerfest. Her debut feature film, Hadeel, has earned her multiple accolades, showcasing her commitment to bold, culturally significant narratives. Ala'a, welcome to the conversation.
Welcome, Ahmed. Thank you.
You're very welcome. Ala'a, let me start by asking you this. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself, your journey into filmmaking, storytelling, and how did your identity as a Palestinian who has never been to Palestine shape your artistic work?
Well, I came to Australia in 2010. I studied filmmaking here, and I've always been driven into storytelling and filmmaking world because I always believed I believed in the importance of storytelling, especially as a Palestinian. I think it's such an important tool that we tend to maybe oversimplify, and I think it's something that we have, especially at this stage, to focus on and yeah, give it the importance that it deserves. So yeah, my first film was Pink Swing. I made it here. I resembled Palestine in Australia, and it was a big success. I think my upbringing with my grandmother influenced me too much to and it driven me into storytelling because she used to tell me a lot of stories about Palestine, and I always had this imaginations like when she told me the stories about like how Palestine looks like. She used to tell me stories like when they picked the strawberries, when they it was a beautiful life. She always cried. We were always like, yeah, we had long nights where she was telling me about her life back in Palestine, how she had to leave her family and go with her husband to Jordan. Um, yeah,
Which cities does he come from in Palestine?
she's from a village called Kharas in Al Khalil, Hebron. I think also my grandparents' patience with me because she kept like every time I kept asking her to repeat the same story and she would happily repeat it. So it made me love story, or maybe I just liked that since I was young. I mean, like everyone is driven to stories, but I think it has like, yeah, it has big thing to do with my grandmother, who always told me stories about Palestine, and I always envisioned Palestine through her eyes.
But how did the atmosphere surrounding the Palestinian struggle right now in Palestine, how did that impact your work? You probably would include some sort of political messaging in your films as well. That's part of kind of the soft power part in the resistance. So can you talk a little bit more about this political messaging that is important in your work in particular?
Well, what's happening now, it's a big challenge for anyone wanting to do art. In general, it's just like the overwhelming emotions that we go through every day, the anger, the frustration, the pain, the sadness, the helplessness that we go through every day. It makes it so hard to artists to make any art, because it's really hard, like, to process these kind of emotions. And art seems to be like a luxury for many people, making art while people are getting killed or while people are facing a genocide. So it's always a struggle. It's harder when you make any kind of artwork while you see yourself privileged to be able to do art while people are just facing, these atrocities with their, bare hands and foot. So but I mean, like, it's a must. It's a duty for every artist, especially if they're Palestinians, to do things to amplify those innocent people's voices. So yeah, I think it's difficult. And in regards to delivering a political message, I try to avoid any political messaging through my work, because I try to get people to connect on a different level, especially like sometimes with politics, people get turned off straight away once you start, like, yeah, telling who's this and who's that, who's wrong and who's right. I mean, facts are clear, but some people have been living with a lot of indoctrination in their life to the point that they can't see, unfortunately. And you always for me myself, like, going through many conversations with people, I realized sometimes it's pointless to win a conversation when we talk about politics. So I thought maybe arts is more powerful, and I believe it's more powerful because they can relate to us Palestinians as humans. We feel the same, we cry the same, we laugh the same, we have, similar connections with our families, the same that everyone does. So I think this is why I'm trying to avoid any political messaging with arts. So yeah, I think even if I wanna say something, I wouldn't be like very direct about it. I just wanna people to connect to a human being's story.
Yeah, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. To my understanding, like most of the artistic work projects that are produced, they around Palestine in general, they do have political messaging, but not direct one. So usually it's like hidden message that encourages people to go and dig deeper and investigate and research. Is that what you mean by like not directly?
I mean, like, you can always talk about, like it's hard to speak about people who got killed in a genocide without mentioning their murderers, right? So of course, like you can mention that, but it's not your focus, because this can take away from the importance of the story of this human being that you're talking about. So trying to be very clever in delivering a message without delivering it, it's because again, like, it's like, I think you also went through it, and many Palestinians have been through the same conversations over and over with some very stubborn mentalities that they don't want to see what's happening. They don't want to, they try to follow different techniques and to avoid pointing out the murderers, or to pointing out the perpetrator, or they try, like, I think that like you come across, you end up knowing like who you're talking to. They either try to zoom out and make us all equally evil, or try to make it as, you know, too complicated to understand, or try to make it like to see it from a religious angle and to see it as a religious conflict. So I think we all been through like this kind of conversation to the point that we can categorize, okay, this person's gonna come with this point, this person. So it's pointless, really. So I think the best way is just to focus on a normal human being story. And yeah, of course, you can't avoid mentioning who did this misery to this person, and also not trying to speak about misery all the time. Yeah, it's very like, yeah, it's very sensitive to you know, to speak about someone, to get people to relate, to get to play on people's emotions. It's like, you know, music, different beats, different, you know, melodies. But we have to be really smart when we talk about our cause through these stories.
Um, you're right. I mean, it's hard to talk about the current genocide in Gaza without mentioning the door of the acts of the atrocities that are currently being committed. And this story captured your imagination. So tell us about Nagham. You know, how did this idea of this theatrical work come to you? And more importantly, as a Palestinian who has been watching, you know, the genocide unfold over the past 15 months, um, how did it relate to you, and what did that story mean to you personally? Tell us about Nagham.
Well, to be honest, I don't know why I'm like, sometimes I wonder why I particularly picked Nagham's story out of every other tragic stories. Especially there are more tragic stories than Nagham. I mean, like, it's very, very tragic, but like we've seen too much to the point that we see a killing of a young Palestinian woman with her sister and her mom dying just a couple of months before that. We see it not as tragic comparing to the other more tragic stories. I'm sorry that we got to that level. But yeah, I think this war has been a very awakening call to me personally, and I think it's the same for many people, um, like who've been watching the war, and something really deep inside them that has changed forever. So I think for some reason sometimes I feel like I'm just like, I meant to do this. Like it's not something like it's yeah, it's more than me. I feel like it's something that I have to do. I'm just following things. And yeah, I just for some reason I connected deeply with Nagham and her story and her dad, especially when I saw her dad on my social media next to Nagham. She was in a coma with an amputated leg and fractures in her skull. And poor dad, like he was really trying so hard to get the world to listen to him, to get Nagham out of Gaza, to get proper treatment, because she had big chance to survive, but they didn't even have normal antibiotic, like basic things. So since then, I don't know, for some reason, I opened my laptop and started writing about Nagham and imagining, and I started looking up her social media, trying to connect with anyone from her family, and I ended up connecting with her brother and dad. They were very welcoming for me to mention, to tell her story, and then the relationship like started growing, and I ended up going to Egypt, meeting them, spending a couple of weeks with the family. It was very I don't know how to say it, but it was very like important part of my life, just going there and connecting with this family and feeling like becoming part of their life. Like I speak to the dad every day. We became family. He sees Nagham and Rozan through me, because I'm kind of like the feminine figure for this family, who just like, yeah, he lives with his two sons, and all of a sudden he lost his wife, he lost his two daughters. So yeah, I think it's more than me being a director and making a story. It's like a Palestinian healing kind of bonding, emotional bonding. So we heal through each other. He gives me a lot of hope, a lot of patience. I learn a lot of resilience from this man, and yeah, and I try my best to give him like, yeah, support, to be there for him, like, yeah, when he needs to speak to someone. So yeah, I this is how I came across Nagham's story. Nagham was a very ambitious, beautiful young lady, full of energy, full of positive vibe, very energetic person. Like when you look into her social media, she always shows like um, her videos playing karate, trying to empower women through sports and healthy lifestyle, showing recipe of healthy, food. She always have like like she shares stuff with her followers on how to be happy with your own skin, how to be, how to empower women to be, independent. And I think I've been always driven into women empowerment cause, and I always wanted to do things for women and empower them. So I think that's something also that connected me with Nagham, because I think this is the true woman empowerment that we have to focus on. This is the true feminism that we should speak about, not the fake and superficial feminism that we've been told and sold like all these years in the Western countries. It's not about woman body. It's not about, woman empowerment. The true woman empowerment, we should learn it from the Palestinian women. They teach big lessons to every single woman in this earth. And unfortunately, all these women empowerment and women rights organization, they didn't speak one word against what's happening in Palestine, which shows you the hypocrisy of this world, which shows you, like, how can we trust those people anymore? How can we trust those governments? How can we trust those organizations? How can we trust anything that they say? That's why I mean, like, this is, I keep saying this war or this genocide has been like a big awakening call. And if you can't see it until now, 15 months into genocide, it's really sad. I mean, like, you have to hold on and maybe reevaluate, just look at deeper into your life and into this world and into this government, and reassess things. Yeah, I think we have to learn big lessons from what's happening.
So how does such an artistic project help amplify Nagham's and Marwan's story, Marwan being Nagham's father? I mean, more generally, what's the role of soft power in achieving the Palestinian aspirations for justice and freedom? And you do that through your work, such as Nagham of Gaza. So how did this artistic project help in getting Nagham's story out?
I mean, it helps by telling their stories by itself. It's resistance. It's by documenting their stories, by humanizing them against this propaganda machine that tries nonstop to dehumanize the Palestinians. This is by itself is resistance. um, by getting Marwan's voice and documenting his journey and his quest for justice, because this is what he wants to do. He wants to continue his journey by seeking justice for his daughter. He wants to question the Sports Federation about their silence towards Nagham and towards his messages to them, and show the double standards of their treatment, when you compare it to the treatment of the Ukrainian-Russian war. It's a like very clear hypocrisy, very clear, double standards, double treatment. So this
That
is
does sound like a political message.
it doesn't matter. I mean, like my journey is just to keep documenting. After this play, like I'm making Nagham of Gaza as a play, theatrical production. But after that, it's gonna be a documentary. I'll keep going to Egypt, keep connecting with Marwan and see how we can work together to hold these organizations accountable for their silence. And this is how you dismantle this big system that seems too huge, too strong to dismantle, but by targeting small goals and like organizations who didn't take any stance and compare it to what they did before, for example, the Russian and the Ukrainian war. This is how you can hold them accountable, and this is how you can avoid these atrocities from happening again. So it's ongoing journey, and it's not just storytelling. It's bigger than that.
And you mentioned avoiding this crime to happen again, not only for Palestinians, for elsewhere as well, because if we allow it to happen to a certain people, then we're actually giving the permission to other governments or other despots, other dictatorship to actually do the same without any accountability. So accountability is really, really important. So, I mean, can you help us understand what soft power means generally? Like how do you define soft power as opposed to other forms of resistance? For example, you've got the nonviolent boycott campaigning, that's form of resistance. There's, steadfastness and resilience of the people on the ground. So where does soft power feature in this kind of spectrum of different forms of resistance against or for liberation and justice, as you mentioned?
Well, you can see it as, it's a long process. It's not reactive, it's responsive process. So for the Palestinian narrative, we we're not violent people. We don't believe in killing. We don't believe in fighting for no reason. Comparing to the Israeli way of handling things, they showed themselves to the world. They exposed themselves to the world how much they believe in destruction and in killing and shedding blood, and this is their way. We can't be violent, or I speak for myself as an artist. Uh, my weapon is my pen. My weapon is my camera. My weapon is different. It's culture, and it's art. Um, so this is a longer way onto changing the narrative. It's not, as I said, it's not reactive. It's not like if you kill me, I'll come and kill you. And this is very entrenched in the Palestinian culture. And I'll give you an example of this soft power. And this is like when they speak about how we teach our kids hatred and how we teach them violence. The other day, and it's a video on social media. There was a boy. He lost his eye for a quadcopter, Israeli quadcopter, and the interviewer was asking him like, "What's your dream?" And his dream to be eye surgeon, to give or to restore other kids' eyes. This is the hateful kids that they don't even see as kids. They see them as young terrorists. His dream is not to take revenge. His dream is to be a doctor to help other kids. This is our people. This is our culture. We're not violent people. We believe in peace. We believe in art and beauty. And what's the 76 occupation comparing to our long and rich history and culture and art? It's nothing. So we have to focus the light on our arts and culture. And when you see it, when you see how rich our culture is, our history, and you see that like the small occupation, that's nothing. That's what 76 years of occupation. They're gonna go. and our culture and our history will prevail and will remain present. And this is what I believe in. This is how soft power works. It's not bringing a bulldozer and demolish a mountain or destroy a building. It's about the power of water and wind. It's lengthy, but it's natural, it's organic, and it's soft.
I agree with you in terms of the occupation. It's only a small, minuscule phase in our rich history of social cohesion, community, traditions, culture, art, music, and that extends thousands and thousands of years, and not just in Palestine. In Palestine and the extension of that Arab world that is supposed to have or to live on a contiguous kind of geographic area where all these manufactured borders helped in facilitating that division, Sykes-Picot and whatnot. And yeah, I absolutely agree with you. It's just this minuscule phase in our history, but we'll eventually overcome. So tell us more about the work that you do for Nagham of Gaza. So Nagham of Gaza is some sort of a theatrical play that will reflect the true story, that will chronicle the true story of Nagham Abu Samra, this karate champion from Gaza. So what have you done so far to amplify that story and bring it to life? And what are the obstacles that you're currently facing in bringing this project to life? I mean, is there any kind of help that you're seeking from the public or any organizations that can help? And more importantly, how can we and the listeners get engaged in this kind of process and help?
Yeah, well, so for the project, I've written the script. I've been developing the script for almost a year now. I'm looking for a team, and basically any artwork would need funding, which hasn't been very lucky with, with the sensitivity of the topic. I don't think our government is willing to give funding to a project that speaks about Gaza, especially with all what we see with the media, with like all we lost any credibility with these politicians. And yeah, so I've been trying, and I'll keep trying. I'll never give hope. But I mean, the other option is just to do a fundraising dinner, and that's what I'm trying to do. Um, we're having a fundraising dinner on the 1st of February at Addison Road Community Organization. I'm gonna show a couple of my films, and we're gonna talk more in depth about soft power. We're gonna have a beautiful get together to pro-Palestine people, friends, and yeah, Palestinian dinner, music, celebrating our culture and our arts, and we also gonna do an auction to help the making of Nagham of Gaza. Speaking about the obstacles, it's just like, as a Palestinian, and I think you can relate to that. Like it's funny sometimes that we have always to justify ourselves as Palestinians. So some of the obstacles that you always have to prove that you're not anti-Semitic, and to prove to people like you're not doing this to say anything against the Jews, and to just to be in that place, and to always have to prove to people that you're only doing this for the sake of speaking about like someone's story, some like a victim's story. But you find yourself have to justify yourself always to the other side, to say no, please, I'm a cool person, I'm a good person, I'm not anti-Semitic, I'm not, I have nothing against the Jews. The Jews actually they always with us, being active in the rallies and like in any like I'll speak like to a good portion of, you know, the Jews, the anti-Zionist Jews. They always they've been active, they've been very vocal about the difference between Zionism and Judaism. But just to find yourself in that place, and always like having to prove, like as a victim, you know, we're the victim here, and we always have to prove people we're not anti-Semitic, we're not doing anything, you know. And it's just like, you know, this is a big obstacle. Like you always, yeah, have to prove, yeah, why you doing this, like why. And yeah, it's a funny time that we live in, that we find ourselves having to justify why I'm doing a story about a genocide.
Did you come across any examples that you can tell us about the play itself, like being, you know, amplifying anti-Semitic rhetoric? I mean, the story is basically narrating the story of Nagham that was murdered throughout the genocide. Her house was bombed, and you know, her father was pleading to the world to rescue her, and then she succumbed to her injuries. And the doer of that genocide, once we start actually pointing out who that was, we are accused for being anti-Semitic. Like,
Yeah. Yeah, that's I mean, like many places, many venues, like they would and then like they very blunt and like direct when they ask you. They like you see this feeling of entitlement that they can ask you these kind of questions. Like they ask you, are you anti-Semite? Are you gonna say kill the Jews at the play? Like these kind of weird questions that you come across, and you don't know how those people have the audacity to ask you these kinds of questions. Like why? Like why I have to prove that I'm not against the Jews when I'm speaking about someone who was killed in Palestine as a Palestinian by the Israelis. So it's, yeah, it's many examples. Like, yeah, you
but
find it.
why do you think those people are encouraged to say these words? Are these people actually convinced that we as Palestinians or as Arabs do think that way? Like, why?
Yeah, it's a part of long process of indoctrination and Islamophobia and anti-Palestinianism, and it's entrenched, and we just didn't realize how big it was since, like, yeah, until this genocide started. We just came across it before. I don't think we came across such a horrible comments before, but I think, yeah, this genocide has been uh, you know, it exposed many people, it exposed many politicians, it exposed long history of, you know, Islamophobia and anti-Palestinianism.
And I've heard a lot of examples of that sort, you know, big films or documentaries made for Palestine, the likes of Farha, for example, and others. They were, I mean, the Zionist lobbies and outposts in every country. They tried to, you know, stop it or shut it down or purchase all the tickets and not allow anyone to attend. It's ridiculous what tactics they use to kind of block the Palestinian narrative to be out.
Because
Uh,
they always threaten, they live with fear, they live with, you know, this continuous threat. Because, you know, when you're the land thief, when you're the murderer, you always suspect people, you always try to cover your crimes, you always try to silence people, to legalize, you know, to legalize your action, and you silencing people. And that says something about you. Like if you try so hard to not let people, journalists or journalists to go into Gaza, or filmmakers to make films about Gaza, or like, you know, any voice like you try to silence, that says a lot about you.
Absolutely. I mean, I always say because they don't have an argument to counter argue what we propose as a narrative, as a Palestinian narrative, they always resort to kind of smear us as being anti-Semitic just to stop us from saying whatever we want to say.
And you know that the governments pick and choose as well policies of anti-Semitism and not mentioning anything about anti-Islam, like anti-Palestinianism or Islamophobia. And like we as a small group, we have like many friends who got like, you know, harassed, who got attacked, who got threatened, and the government choose to say nothing about all those stuff. And yeah, they're the ones who are making this kind of divisions, who they're the ones who are creating this hateful speech and hateful, you know, the discrimination, the double standards.
Absolutely. I mean, and through art, we will have to continue to struggle and show our narrative, whether there's political messages hidden or unhidden. I think it's important to continue doing our work. So what do we expect from Nagham of Gaza moving forward? Like, what's next for you and for this project?
I mean, I'm really glad even so far many people start knowing about Nagham, and that like in a way I'm trying to achieve what she always wanted, because she wanted to be popular. She wanted to be known for her sports, for her women empowerment, and she's already there. Like people start like talking more about her, especially here in Australia with this project. People are drawing portraits for her, so I'm doing what she always wanted to do. And we ex as I said, like what we're expecting is to get this project together, to get people to know about Nagham, to prove that we can make art even if we don't get any government funding. We can still, as a community, we can get together and we can make beautiful things, and we always can find a way like to do things. And we're gonna keep seeking justice for Nagham. This artwork is just one step, but the journey is longer than that. And I just also want to focus on like, so for me, like the more I talk about Nagham, the more it feels as if she's the only one who got killed in Gaza. And this by itself is very important, because we're not numbers. Whether you're an artist, whether you're an activist, whether you're just a normal human being, just like focus on one story, give it all your attention, and by doing that, like psychologically, you start relating more, and you start seeing people as real people, and this is how we humanize Palestinians, and this is how we stop seeing them as numbers. And yeah, I mean, like part of this genocide is trying to numb people and reduce the Palestinian to just numbers. And we have to be aware of that and the effect of this on us psychologically, because we can easily fall into this trap of seeing the story just another tragic story. No, it's not. Every story is tragic, and every story should be given the attention that's needed and the value it's yeah. And this way you can just challenge the trap they try to put us in.
Absolutely. There are thousands of stories that need to come out, and Nagham is just one of those stories. It's an important story to be told. And I really want to zoom in on this story, Ala. I mean, I feel this staunch energy in you to get that story out because you feel that connection on the personal level. Like, tell us more about you said the other day, it's almost that Nagham is trying to speak to everyone through you. Like, how can you tell us more about that relationship that you feel with Nagham?
Well, I think yeah, everyone like could feel this kind of energy that this genocide is awakening for like, if you dig deep, it's not, it makes you just reevaluate life. And for me, many coincidences that's been happening that makes me believe there's something more than me about me trying to make Nagham's story. And for example, something I mentioned on when I spoke at the rally the other day on the 12th of January. I never spoke at the rally before. I never asked to speak. I was never asked as well. But yeah, all of a sudden I was asked to speak on that particular day, which marked Nagham's anniversary, first anniversary of her murder. And I spoke to her dad on the day, and I was just very surprised. I want to share with him my surprise that I was asked to speak about at the rally on the same day that she was killed, and all my intention is to speak about her. And then when he asked me about what time, it's like I told him it's gonna be 1 p.m. Sydney time, which is 4 a.m. Their time. And this is when he started crying, because this is exactly when Nagham was killed at 4 a.m. in the morning, which was, yeah, it was really shocking. It was, yeah, that's why I feel like this is not just, it's not something that you go through and you skip. It makes you stop. It makes you think. It makes you see this world from a different angle. Um, see this reality as, way bigger than you, and see this short life as a test. And it's your choice. Like it's it's not as what we see. It's not the way we saw it before. It's way different. It makes you stop and pause, and yeah, see things differently. Um, and yeah, it's as I said, like it's up to you which sides you want to pick. If you want to just keep living your small individual life and doing your own like things in life and not worrying about the world around you, who are you? And the other option is just to be true to yourself, is to be a real human being, a caring human being, a hero in your life, to be in charge of your life and to do big things, bigger than your small individual life. And yeah, that's, I think, I believe like many people around me share the same experience. It changed something deep about them and about their journey in life. And this is the beautiful part about what happened. It changed us. In a way, it's like spiritual evolution. We evolved spiritually, especially the ones who chose to work to stop this genocide, to care about those people. I think they spiritually evolved, and I think this is the light about this horrible and dark time. And yeah, I encourage everyone just to dig deep and see their own journey through the lens of this genocide and through the lens of the faith of the Palestinian people, the faith and the resilience and the steadfastness. There's a lot and a lot to learn from the Palestinians in Gaza, especially. I myself, as a Palestinian, didn't know how, you know, uh, I'm surprised by myself, like, yeah, on not knowing that much about, like, you learn a lot. You learn a lot about their faith, um, and it doesn't have to be religious, really, so that people don't get me, like, yeah, it's about humanity. It's about the light inside you and about the goodness inside you. And doesn't matter what religion you follow, but it's just being human, especially at these dark times. Many doctors will tell you stories about how the Palestinians, even like in the time of hunger and people wouldn't have very little food, they would share it with the doctors. They would share it with any, foreigners. They teach humanity. They teach love. They teach life. So that's why I keep saying, look at this and dig deeper and learn.
Absolutely. Thanks for these brilliant words. And I mean, I've been helping out for a while now in this project, and it's very much admirable the level of dedication that you've had for this story and for this project. I mean, you quit your job to free yourself completely for this project and try to get this story out. So what do we expect? Are we going to be looking out for a theatrical play or a documentary or a short film that narrates the story of Nagham? Do you have that clarity or vision, what you're trying to produce at the moment?
Yeah, of course. I mean, like at the moment, we're working on a play, a theatrical play. I'm just enjoying it so much, especially like many people in the community are happy to be part of this. Many people, they want to do something for Palestine, but they didn't know what to do. So this is the opportunity for them. This is the chance where people can get together and be, work as a team member in this beautiful project. This is where you can do something actually for Palestine. I encourage many people who in the art field, in the theater, who wants to just help out to come to the event on the 1st of Feb, to come and speak to us and yeah, to be part of this. So I think, yeah, for now it's a project to do the play, but in the future, I'm gonna keep going with Marwan, Nagham's dad, in his quest for justice. And yeah, I think this can take long time with him, like taking legal actions, and it takes time. But for now, as you know, the project here in Australia, it's a theatrical play.
Perfect. And how can people reach out to you to help out and support in any way? Is there any presence on the social media for the project or?
Yeah, we have social media pages called Nagham of Gaza, Nagham of Gaza, Gaza. And of course, we have a donation link, GoFundMe link. It's also in our pages. Just by showing up on the 1st of Feb for our night, our Palestinian night, it's gonna be really get together. We need to cling together in this difficult time and just reconnect and keep working together on any Palestinian project. Is going to be a good opportunity also for some newly arrived Gazans to show their business, to connect with other people, especially, they many of them don't have, source of income, or they don't have a lot of people around them. So this is a good opportunity for people to come and show solidarity and connect and meet other Gazan families.
Absolutely. I encourage everyone to come to that event. It's going to be a really great showcase of the work that Ala'a has done so far. Ala'a, I can't thank you enough for this conversation. Do you have any last comments, any advice? Like what's your message to all these artists and filmmakers who are passionate about Palestine? Do you have any message to them?
Uh, my message to them is to learn from the Gazans, to learn from their resilience, to learn how they make life out of nothing. And if they don't give in, if they don't, feel despair or like, why do we have to give in? We have to learn from them. We have to keep going. We have to make art out of this horrible time. It's I know it's difficult, but we have to force ourselves sometime just to get into this kind of flow state. And I believe a lot of beautiful art can come out of of this time. And also, yeah, I really hope that we can get together, do more artwork, more cultural work to do for Palestine. I think it's the time where we have to get united as artists and as people who care about art and culture, and to start planning for more events, and to use soft power as a really powerful tool to our narrative and as a form of resistance. My message also to the business people: if you have a business and you want to support Palestine, this is the right time where you can be part of these projects, or any project that can support Palestinians. I think this is a good opportunity for them to connect with Palestinian people, whether they want to maybe help them with artwork or help them establish their own businesses. It's very critical time for people to get together and help one another.
Absolutely. Ala, I want to thank you again. It's been a pleasure, and hopefully we can do another conversation at some point when the theatrical play matures enough a little bit into the future.
Shukran, Ahmed. Thank you so much for having me and for this beautiful conversation. And yeah, I hope we can see the play very soon, hopefully in May. And yeah, thanks everyone for listening to me.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.